Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name's Nicole and I am wrapping up the reading that I did in the month of May. As I was saying that, I was trying to think what month I was talking about. I did figure it out. Okay, so I've got a lot to talk about today. I have made myself a list and a couple of people have been asking and even using my little sort of highlight and cross out type of to-do list thing. So I figured I'd also show how that works here. Basically, it's just a to-do list. This is not my concept. I've seen a couple of other people do this. That's how I learned about it. I wish I remember who, or I'd link their video, but I don't. But just look around. It's just a different way to do a to-do list. Anyway, you start just by writing out everything you need to do. The left hand I have written out, the right side I just happen to put details on. And the only thing you do is you just highlight 3 things off your list. It can be any 3 things. I happen to write my list in the order that I'm going to go, so I'm going to highlight the first 3 things on my list. There you go. And then the next thing you do is you just focus on one of those 3 things. And I'm going to start with the very first one on my list, which is my made TBR chart. So I have shown this occasionally on my channel, but not every single time I do a wrap up, and I'm trying to be better at remembering to show it. But every month I basically have a chart that I put in all the books that are like priority reads for me, including book club reads and buddy reads that I know for sure are like scheduled to happen that month, as well as the priority reads that come off of my bingo board for my monthly TBR game. So here on the screen, you can hopefully see the chart for the month of May, and you will see that there are things listed as completed. I think there's a few DNFs on there. There's things that I didn't get to and that kind of thing. So I do want to try and remember to show this because this is going to be the best way for me to share what happened to all the books that I said I was going to read, including the must reads as well as the priority reads off of the TBRs that I have. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. That's what this chart is, and you'll just see it in my monthly wrap-ups now. That's the first thing done off the list. So all that happens is once you finish one thing, you take a black Sharpie. This is the most satisfying part, guys, and you black it out. Like, it's done. You never have to think about that thing again. And before you move on to starting another one of your highlighted items, you go back with your highlighter and you highlight one more thing to do. So there's always 3 things highlighted. Every time you come to look at something to do, you can do any of those 3 things. So you have a choice in case you want to keep delaying on something. And again, because my list happens to be in the order I want to discuss them, I'm just going to highlight the very next thing on my list. But next, we are going to talk about my stats. So you saw on that chart how I actually did for this month, but here are my actual stats. I read 9 books in the month of May for a total of 3,004 pages. That includes just the books that I actually finished and talked about. It does not include pages from books that I DNF'd or books that I read this month but talked about maybe in an April video or won't talk about until June, because that's happens sometimes. And my average star rating surprisingly was a 3.9. I was expecting it to be a lot higher because I had quite a few 4.5 star reads. I didn't have a 5-star read this month, but I'm okay with that because I was pretty happy with the outcome of all of my books and what I was reading. And sorry if you can hear noise in the background, my husband's walking around and eating. Anyway, I did realize I also had quite a few 3.5 star reads, and I will put all those up on the screen so you can see the books and what they're related to. I did realize, however, that I put the star rating incorrectly for Crime and Punishment. That was 2.5 stars. As of my filming this, that has not changed. And I'm just realizing my battery is gonna die. So I guess I'm gonna have to come back. But I think that's all I had to say about my stats. So for now, I'm gonna cross that bad boy out, and I will highlight one other thing, and I will come back and I'll talk to you about that after I've fixed this battery issue. Okay, I'm back, you're back, we're back. It hasn't been that long, it's still actually the same day. I'm sure the angle has changed. I still have my little to-do list, thank goodness, because that means I know where I was at. Where I left off? Kind of, sort of, not really. I was telling you about my stats. Oh, I didn't mention the countries of the world. So my map is looking pretty great there, even though I'm pretty sure not all the countries are checked off. Like, I read from China, and I can't see a close-up enough of the map to see whether or not China is actually marked off there, but I feel like it would be pretty obvious, and it's not. So who knows? I don't know. I am using a reading journal online Google Docs thing that somebody else created. So I don't know. Anyway, I do have a different map that I'm going to be using for the world, but I need to update that first and then you'll eventually see it one day. I have not read anything from the US in the month of May, surprisingly. And so there are no states for me to diamond paint on my little states board, so you're not going to see that this month. So that is all I have to talk about there. Covers are done. Oops, I've been forgetting to highlight. I left my highlighter over there when I moved, so I'm just gonna put a little dot next to the next three things there. Okay, bingo. My bingo board. Here's my bingo board. I got 2 bingos in the month of May. I did pretty well. The only 2 areas I didn't cover were the high school required reading challenge and the buddy read, and that's not too surprising because basically how it usually is working is that 1 month I'm doing a buddy read in the high school rereading challenge book, and the next month I'm doing the book club book. And that's intentional so that I'm not doing all of that all at the same time. So the next book club book won't come up until probably July's monthly wrap up, and that book is going to be David Copperfield, and I can't wait. I'm so excited. Are you excited? Are you going to read along? I hope you join me. And then speaking of joining me, we do have another high school required reading book, and I'll talk about that when I talk about my June must reads. But here's the report card for the high school required reading and how that's been going. It's been going okay. Some of us are having more fun than others, and our grades looking kind of ratchet at this point. However, we are going to be rebooting that and doing it again at the start of next year, and we have a way for everybody to join us, and we have some plans that I think it's going to be fun, so stay tuned to watch out for that. Okay, so ooh, look at me. I crossed 2 things off at the same time. We're on a roll. So I'm making it down my list, and I'm telling you guys, oops, I didn't carry that all the way through. Blacking things out, if you haven't tried it, try it once. It's the best thing ever. Okay, I only have 2 things left to talk to you about. One of them, though, has this whole side list here. So that is The Sims. I have been doing the Sims Lit Life readathon kind of ongoing thing where you create a sim, and based on your book or based on what you want them to do, it determines your TBR. I'm doing it kind of in reverse where my TBR is determining what goes on with my sim. So the last time you saw Read More, this was what her character sheet looked like. It was pretty much blank, but I knew what the next few things were that I had to work on, and I did work on those things. So here were all the sort of character things that she had, traits and that kind of stuff, and aspiration and where she was going to live. And I did assign books, and I've read all the books that I thought I was going to, except for one, which was Tomb of Sand. I did swap that out for a different book, I Who Have Never Known Man, because I DNF'd Tomb of Sand. So that is done, crossing that off my list. In the course of the last month, I guess, since I last updated you about my sim, I did work on level 1 of 5 different skills. One of them she needed for her aspiration. The other one, with my channel members, I had sort of spun a wheel to decide what things she was going to work on, and I got a lot of skills she was going to work on. I did work on 4 of those other skills, and one of them worked out because it helped with her aspiration. Speaking of her aspirations, she is aspiring to a successful lineage, and to my great surprise, I actually got her all the way there. So all my reading since my last update got her through all 4 levels of her aspirations. There's 4 levels of the aspirations, and for each one there were 2 book prompts. I didn't go ahead and put all the details on there because I didn't want to make this video too long, but my channel members will be seeing me spin again to pick more prompts that Read More is going to do. She's going to be working on a career next, and we'll be seeing how that goes, and they'll be getting the details of what exactly all the prompts are and that kind of thing. But if you're interested in this readathon, it is being hosted by Amanda at This Reading and Writing Life. I will put a link to the video where she has the Google Doc and all that kind of stuff so that you can go ahead and sign up and play and make your own sim and all that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, here's her final updated sheet. I'm just having way too much fun with my Sharpie here. And you can see that her aspiration, everything's checked off there. Everything with her trait is checked off. I even used her special domestic feature to do an instant read for one of the books. She has worked on a whole bunch of skills, and like I said, I'm going to be working on her career next. The only thing I haven't figured out is there are badges you can get, and she should have badges. And I know where the badges are, I just don't know what badges go with what skills and aspirations and traits. So I'm gonna have to reach out to Amanda and see where that information is because I couldn't figure it out. I'm sure it's in there somewhere. But yeah, that's the plan for that. So Sims update, crossing that off. Oops, I didn't do a very good job. There we go. So as you can see, if I had a highlighter, I would be highlighting it. There is one last thing on this list for me to do. I do like to make it so that I can't see any of the other writing. Somehow it just feels more complete. Little did you know that not only were you getting a reading wrap up, you were also getting a how to do a to-do list. Okay, June must reads. That's the last thing I have to talk to you about. And I have no idea, but I feel like I'm talking really fast and I have no excuses for that. So the 3 books, I have 3 books that I absolutely have to read this month because they're for like groups and that kind of thing. I mean, have to read as much as you ever have to read. But over here, just in case you're wondering, these are all the books that I read in May. Yay. Yeah, and I even have like the notebooks for them. I have my Kindle, I read off of that and all that jazz. And so June, I have 3 books, like I mentioned, that need to get read. These aren't from my TBR game, these are totally separate. These books will definitely get read. Everything from my TBR game is like, I'm trying to get to it, we'll see what happens. These are the 3 books that are basically going to determine what does and does not get read off of my TBR game. The first book is the next book that we're reading for our high school required reading challenge. So if you've been following along with that, or even if you haven't been, basically every other month, me and my friend Alex, we are just working our way through rereading high school books that we were assigned. And this next upcoming book is my pick. So we've alternated who gets to pick the book. And this is a book that I'm pretty sure I read in high school. And I know I read a Toni Morrison and did not like it. I know it wasn't The Bluest Eye. It may have been Beloved, or it could have been Sula. I'm guessing it's Sula, so that's the one that we're going with. We will be reading this in the month of June. Our plan is to start it the second week in June, so I think you should be seeing this video before that. And you're welcome to read this book as well, or if you've already read it, we will probably sometime in June be doing a live show where we discuss on the live show our thoughts on rereading Sula now as adults versus in high school and that kind of thing. And we always enjoy that. It's a good time, and we look forward to talking to you guys about it, whether you make it live or watch the recording, that kind of thing. The last book we read is The Canterbury Tales, and if you didn't catch that live show, you can go back and see that. I have 2 books that I need to read for 2 different book clubs that I'm in that don't have to do with my channel members. One of them is for a book club that I'm in person at a local bookstore, and for that we are reading another short story collection. We've read a lot this year, and the leader has promised that this one is good. They've all been good in different ways, but I'm hoping that this one is really good. I'm hoping there's not too many stories in this one. It's actually what I'm hoping for. I'm realizing that I don't mind short story collections, but I don't like when there's a lot of stories to get through. It just feels like too much. Anyway, enough about that. The actual book, let me tell you what it is Amplitudes. And this is stories of queer and trans futurity, is what it says. So it is a science fiction and fantasy book club that I am in. So we are reading queer and trans short stories that are science fiction for the month of June. I was trying to make sure I was including all the thoughts there. Now, I have seen this book around on BookTube, so I feel like it's a pretty well-known one. I don't know anything about it other than that there's 22 speculative stories. So there you go. And it should be good. It's kind of hard to talk about short stories in a book club, but we have managed to do it this year, and I am confident we will do it again. And then the second book that I'm reading is for a book club that I have started with just a handful of friends, and we meet and we talk about it, not in person. And this one is one that I feel like is the book that like everybody has read, everybody has loved, everybody's raving about it. In fact, I think over half the women that I'm meeting with have already read this book and we're like, that's fine, I'd happily read it again. And that book is Dungeon Crawler Carl. So yeah, I will finally be reading this. I honestly had no intentions of reading it unless like some book club I was in forced me to read it. And that happened. So here we go. I don't know. I have no thoughts. I figure it should be a fun, lighthearted, good palate cleanser, and it'll be fun to talk about it. I think that was the thing that was appealing to the half the people in the group who had already read it. They were like, I'd love to be able to talk about this book with somebody. So that's what we're gonna do. So that's it. Here's my May reads, and here are the 3 books I've got to work on in the month of June. And you saw all the stats and all the charts and all the things. Let me know how your month of reading in May went, and I hope we all have a great month of reading in the month of June, and I'll talk to you next time.